Okay, we've decided on our theme and art direction, layer 1, decorated the walls, ceilings, and floors to fit our theme, layer 2, picked a main scare that will effectively have the tots emit the coveted scream laugh, layer 3. Now let's help immerse them in the horror movie of our minds. The little details, the accents that tell the story of the room. By accents, we're talking about the chairs, tables, pictures on the walls, typewriter on the table, surgery tools on an instrument stand, that kind of stuff. These aren't just the little things we throw in a room. They're critical elements that cement what the room is, what happened in the past, and forecast what may happen in the future. These details are what adds the creep to the haunt. It becomes so real that the tots are starting to question if they made the right decision to enter our haunt in the first place. Maybe we are a serial killer and the haunt's just a ruse to trap them. In other words, they start to become creeped out. And as a special bonus, they're primed and ready for our main scare to spring. Got the reasons why these accents are so important. But which accent should we pick? That's where some research is in order. Google pictures of the scene in the time we're trying to recreate. Here's a real operating room in the 30s. Just look at all the large and small goodies we can copy here. The Pro Haunt, the Dent Schoolhouse, are masters at adding realism with accents. I was lucky enough to go to their seminar, and here are some notes. Pictured is an example of one of their haunt rooms, the principal's office. The owners created their theme to match the architecture of the schoolhouse they had converted. The theme revolves around the story of kids gone missing back in the 40s and 50s, and suspicion had focused on the school's janitor named Charlie. The school was immediately closed when the bodies of children were discovered in the basement. Everything in the school had been preserved from that moment on. Now that the owners had a theme, construction of each room had to follow that storyline. The critical element for them to sell it? Accents. Here are the accents used for the janitor's workshop. The automotive class, even a nurse's office, all exactly as they would have been back then. Dent stressed to always try to add as many authentic accents as you can to help tell the story. Coincidentally, it does make it easier on us, saves prop building time. The best places to find these trinkets? Well, yeah, antique stores, garage sales, Craigslist, those are good for the large ones, and thrift stores. Dent said, picture your set like scenes from horror movies. The sets are realistic atmospheres that are filled with junk and not typically filled with latex props. House of Shock were masters for its over-the-top set design featuring huge accents and an eye for the little details. No one would give you a hard time if you just hung back from your group to marvel at their rooms. Best to start with a base layer of large accents like the casket, pulpit, and pews here. Add smaller items to finish filling the room like the morning flowers and candles. If it's a garden shed, have fertilizer, bug sprayer, garden tools, things like that. What if we don't have that much room? Bookcases and shelving are great places to showcase them. Oh, and don't be shy. Collect a lot of small accents. When the corner is cluttered with things that would normally be in a pantry, it appears lived in. There's another beneficial reason to do this. All that eye candy distracts the tots and helps set them up to be scared out of their minds when we spring the main scare. Don't forget wall hangings. The Dent Schoolhouse even has posters of the missing kids plastered throughout the haunt. All right, how to arrange all this junk? Have the accents positioned to look like they were just being used. Machinery's lit, a book laying open, a chair pulled out, cigarette in the ashtray, the desk lamp on. When we can, have the accents working. Dent used an old TV switched on a static channel, a radio playing in the corner of the room, things like that. Not only does it add realism, but also it helps to light the room in a really creepy way. Anytime we use a light distraction, it's awesome when it's also the source light in the room. At the same time, the radio broadcast can be the sound. The Butcher of Provincetown was a Canadian home haunt that was a master at using accents to really creep the kids out. Quick note, it may be hard to see, but the picture is screwed onto the wall to keep it secure. Now that's important when we have lots of people going through the haunt. We can use liquid nails, baling wire, anything to keep the accents staying put. Making them look old is also important. Somewhat easy to do with brown paint wash that's brushed on and just smear it off. Voila, dirty. The butcher of Provincetown didn't stop there, though. The simple trick of replacing the picture glass with a remaining shard of plexiglass, that's creepy to find. Most of us would have just had an old picture up on the wall and call it done. Who would have thought to go to the next step and scratch out the face? Try to add a little weirdness to an everyday thing like the skull here. Well, not like a skull's an everyday thing. Well, you know what I mean. Anyways, adding a little weirdness is off kilter and not right. The perfect questioning we want the audience to have. To add to that, this could have been a plain old foam brick wall, but add in a couple of skulls. Remember the hunter's mantra? Always, always, always amp up the scare level. Could he have left the grandfather clock alone? Why? To sum it all up, accents aren't junk that just fills spaces in our haunt. They're critical in selling the story. Once they're aged and creeped out, they even add to the fright. Thank you, House of Shock, Butcher of Provincetown, and the Den Schoolhouse for giving us so many reasons to hoard. We needed the excuse. Look for the next layer of scare video to help us illuminate our worlds. Lighting.